Thank you so much for watching. Josh Frydenberg is the Treasurer of Australia. Had the chance to talk to him a bit earlier today about the contrast of him running the economy versus a person who doesn't even know the difference between a decision not announced and an announced decision. A $3 billion mistake from Labor, and they're in opposition.
Well, thanks, Paul. It was an important budget, not just because it's on the eve of the election, but because Australia is facing some significant challenges. As you know, the events playing out in Ukraine have an impact here at home, particularly with the higher petrol prices. So we've provided cost of living relief for millions of Australians by halving the fuel excise. We've also provided the $250 payments to millions of pensioners, veterans, carers, and self-funded retirees who have a concession card. We've provided a boost to the low and middle income tax offset consistent with what Liberal and national governments do, cutting taxes, which is going to be a real boost to Australian families. And then we're making medicines cheaper and more affordable for more than 2.4 million Australians. So there's a good suite of measures here which hopefully will alleviate some of the cost of living pressures that Australian families are under.
Now, Josh, the two hottest takes from the people who don't want you to win the election, no matter what they say, is that this is all wild spending that's out of control and you're no different than the Labor Party. And the other one is that you haven't spent enough to change people's grocery prices. So do you think the majority of Australians understand that the reality has to be somewhere in the middle?
Well, the truth of it is that cost of living pressures are real. When fuel prices are above $2 a litre, that's eating away into the pockets of hard-working Australian families. That's making life more difficult for pensioners and others on income support. So we've provided very temporary and targeted relief, and I think that's really important to understand.
Look, I agree. I talk about it every night. People need to remember the mistake that was made in 2007 and not make that mistake again this year. We've been in the fork in the road. We went wrong when we chose Rudd over Howard. Don't choose each way over ScoMo.
Well, at least in his case, he should show his real CV, not the one of Bob Hawke or John Howard, who he pretends to be. I mean, that's the biggest joke. This guy has said that he's going to be like John Howard and Bob Hawke. I mean, give me a break. Anthony Albanese is the most far-left Labor leader since Gough Whitlam. He has spent his life championing higher taxes, everything from death duties to congestion taxes, to obviously the retirees tax and to the superannuation tax and the family business tax and the housing tax. He said just 3 years ago that Labor had a strong mandate for those policies. Now he wants to walk away from them. And he actually wants to be a small target and sneak into government. But you can't do that when what's at play here, what's at stake, is to hold the reins of a $2 trillion economy. And given the troubles internationally and given the unstable regional environment, it's going to be so important we have a Prime Minister and a leader in this country who is strong. And I don't believe Anthony Albanese is that person.